Hey everybody, and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program RP-0. I am once again in the VAB because we just unlocked something. And I just paid a bunch of money to get access to it. Where did it go? Of course, now I can't find it. It should be right up here near the top, right? Here? Yes, there it is. The Mobile Processing Lab. Finally! We have access to this thing. And so the very first thing I think we're going to do with it is put it on top of a rocket, put one in low Earth orbit. We have a very small space station, the Disappointment, in orbit currently. It is uncrewed, as I took a contract to build it, and then it failed the contract, causing a lot of financial hardship for the program. But I want to see how this thing works and how well it works and what we can do with it before I start boxing them up and sending them to other planets. We're trying to put them on the surface of other planets. So I'm going to build out a module for said space station and slap it on top of a rocket. We'll go from there. And so this following build footage is sped up to about 10 times normal speed. I figure 30 tons is a good place to shoot for our total tonnage, which is why we're choosing 2 of these Agena cores as our primary part. So we'll build out a tank to make it look a little cleaner and then move parts inside of it because it's cheating. Anyway, we'll do the same thing top and bottom basically and slap this core back on, move it up a little bit, and yeah, we should probably deal with some thrusters, but I think we're going to go with the at the corners approach, considering what kind of size we have to deal with. So I'm just trying to figure out what's a good footprint, or at least a good profile, because I do plan on being able to add other modules, and if this works out pretty well, we may make exactly 0 changes to it before we send one off to Mars, provided everything goes smoothly. So we'll need forward and lateral thrusters, and we're going to need some architecture to provide power and do a bunch of these other things. So because I liked the way the other Skylab module worked out so well with its robotic parts, I think I'm going to imitate a little bit of that design here and just try to remember how to use hinges. Yeah, there we go. That's much better. And we'll just copy that over. Actually, I think I'm just going to do 2 for now. We only need we only need 2 arms of solar panels. We'll copy the mechanism over again. We should probably have some deployable radiators on this thing because heat does something, or in case we want to store anything cryogenic in close proximity. So we've got those on there. We're going to need some science experiments to rustle up some data for these scientists to work with. I don't have a lot of experiments that I haven't done in low Earth orbit, but this imaging scanner is definitely one of them. So while it won't give us a comprehensive look at the planet Earth, it will give us some data to work with. And yeah, let's go back and adjust these hinges. Make sure everything deploys properly. Yep, that's not half bad. Kind of like this. Awesome. So with them kind of in their deployed state, I do need to figure out a means of getting other things docked to this, which that top and that bottom won't work for our shuttle program, won't work for anything else other than like an Artemis or other smaller pods. So I'm going to try to figure out some means of articulating docking ports that we might be able to maneuver into a shuttle bay. It's kind of a lazy dream, but I've also realized that in all of my time playing RP-0, I've never docked a shuttle to anything in orbit. So I came up with these little guys. Really just being able to extend them out without pivoting the docking port is more of the goal. And oops, I attached the piston to the wrong thing. So we'll just move these up, get them clear of our stowable arms. We'll give it a little, that just looks a little bit better, doesn't it? I mean, better than just having the docking port kind of hanging out there loosely in space. We should probably put some thrusters on it just to make sure they can get good leverage or aid in getting things into place. And lights, of course, because we'll probably end up docking on the nighttime side, knowing me. And that's just the way things go so well for me all the time. Anyway, we'll start to slap on some paint. This Cronus texture looks kind of cool, although I don't know, not 100% about it, but for an experimental run, I think we're going to go with it. And now, what rocket to put it on? Our weight's coming in just a little under 30 tons, and man, putting an RA9 under it just looks dumb. I'm sure it could get it to orbit, but I'm just not going to go with that. So we're going to go with a DN1A, because it has the RL10 upper stage, which we'll talk more about that later. And we no longer need to fuel the boosters on the pad. We have unlimited tonnage now. So I'll top those boosters off, make sure everything down there is okay, and then we're going to get rid of these E1s and replace it with the RD170. Just a single unit, although it is 4 chambers. That does provide considerably more thrust than that cluster of 3 E1As. We'll get a fairing on it. This is going to be an interesting experiment. So anyway, back to part 2, or on to part 2 I should say, which involves a Mark III Shuriken. This is the one we just launched our Geosync ComSat with, but we're going to need some kind of habitation module for this station, and I figured what better way to go about it than launching it up there with the shuttle, and it will also provide evidence of whether or not we can dock a shuttle to this thing. Wouldn't that be cool? Especially since those docking ports can rotate at 90 degrees. We can just extend the booms and turn it 90 degrees and hopefully just dock very cleanly with that little bit that we've already got there. So we'll have a 3-person crew carrier as their primary, I guess, social space. And these inflatable hab modules, I guess, will encompass their sleeping quarters or something. I don't know what they do with those space. How they move in is entirely up to them. I'm not going to pretend to know what these scientists do when they're out in orbit. But we'll top it off with some fuel, get some thrusters, get some life support, get some comms, a few more thrusters, make sure they're oriented the right way, and of course choose an appropriate bit of paint for stuff. Not the best habitation module, but for something that's small and on the fly and actually fits in the very limited space provided by this Shuriken shuttle, I'd say it's not too terrible, in my opinion. I'm happy with that. So we'll save it, we'll title it, we'll add it to the build list, and then we'll just warp a couple hundred days into the future and get ourselves outside. We are out on the launch pad. Hooray! This is the core module of our experimental space station with our new mobile science lab, sitting on top of a DN1 with its brand new RD170 upgraded boosters, which provide an absolutely ridiculous lift-off thrust-to-weight ratio. We should probably tone this thing down a bit. But in all honesty, I'm just not going to do that. I just want to see this thing go. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and put this in orbit. I have opted not to rendezvous with the old space station disappointment because it's a disappointment. Pretty useless. It should probably be deorbited, and I built a nice hab module that I want to carry up on a shuttle anyway. And so there's that. Anyway, throttle is set to full, SAS is on, ignition sequence start. Looks like we have a good light. Let's get these clamps off. Yeehaw. Wow, that is really moving. We're probably just going to go straight up for a while, get out of the atmosphere so we don't risk burning up our cryogenic stages in the lower atmosphere, where we could make a very effective gravity turn on these ridiculously powerful engines. They're still going to give us almost, I think it was like a minute 45 or a minute 50 of burn time on just these small boosters, so those are very impressive engines. I'm very excited to get them into normal use and onto some of our other launch platforms. But the rest of this DN1 is pretty much unchanged. Twin HG3 sea levels at the bottom. We have a upper stage with 4 RL10s. I kept it with the RL10s because at the time I had planned on rendezvousing it with something else, and the 10 ignitions provided by those versus the 2 ignitions you get from an HG3 vacuum were a design advantage. Yeah, look at this shock effects. We're already well clear. Whoa, don't tip over so fast there, buddy. Come on. Okay, I'm gonna have to start paying better attention to this. I think this rocket may be too powerful to be practical. That's new. So these 170s are providing a lot more thrust than that cluster of 3 E1s, which is why I took such a steep ascent trajectory initially, was to get out of the thicker parts of the atmosphere. I've had cryogenic tanks explode before when the angle was too low and the speed was too high. So we're going to separate the boosters, watch them collide into each other. That startled me for just a second. Now we're just on the power of these two HG3 sea levels. They're going to carry us out to a much better orbit. There's fairing set, so we can expose the station to all the things, and we'll just test out these boom arms. Yeah, a little wobbly, but not too bad. We'll make sure we can deploy a comm. I would hate to lose signal with this thing before we have a chance to circularize. I'm maintaining such a high angle because I had initially planned on about a 450 to 500 kilometer circularized orbit for this station, which I wish I had thought about that a little bit more, because all of the contracts for sending 3 Kerbals into low Earth orbit typically have a maximum altitude of about 350 kilometers. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. If they have to get to orbit within those parameters, wait there for 10 or 12 or whatever parameter days, and then go dock with the station, we've got the life support on hand to do that. So it's not a big deal. And it looks like we can go into our mostly full deploy mode without separating our RL10 stage. Still several minutes left on our core stage, so this shouldn't be any problem whatsoever as far as getting to orbit. I just wish I had been paying attention more to my angle and the altitude instead of fidgeting around with the space station, or perhaps twirling around in my chair. Either way, we've got lots and lots of disposable Delta V on this thing. We're basically going to be looking at having most of the RL10 stage, if not all of the RL10 stage, completely at our disposal. These HG3s will probably finish out most of our orbit, but I'm going to turn you back over to old me for some live commentary. Well, we're almost twice as high as I would have liked to have been, but we're going to perform periapsis burn in 32 minutes. This is pretty good, because this does deorbit our core stage. So we'll just separate from that and pull very gracefully out of the fairing. Emphasis on gracefully. Alright. Yeah, the station certainly does not like being rotated with all of its things deployed. That's nothing new. So we've got like 2 maneuvers to make. Alright, where is our apoapsis? Yeah, that's way higher than I wanted it to be. So we will first adjust out our periapsis to right around where I wanted it to be, which was between 400 and 500 kilometers. So that's like what, 347? Yeah, 350. We'll just shoot for right around 400, 406. That should be fun. 101.3 meters per second. No big deal. So, alright, let's reactivate our RCS. We can turn the throttle down and get ourselves angled into position here, slowly but surely. Did I put anything in these? I did not. Good. Because otherwise it'd be just way too heavy. Electric charge is staying topped off. We have no RTGs on this, which is good. We're going to need lots of battery. Good. Man, had we gone for a lower orbit, we could almost get this thing to the moon. bet with a HG3 upper stage we totally could. Although we'd have no way of inserting it into orbit really, although that could easily be solved by a larger DN series rocket. Alright, let's get around to this node, 30 minutes away. I should be seeing how the battery charge holds up at night. Staying top. Oh, this thing has an internal generator, that's right. And I guess it exceeds the demand of pretty much everything, so not a big deal. I think it's going to take 13 minutes. Oh, it's going to take 13 minutes to do it under the RCS thrusters. We'll stage in our RL-10s. I don't think they're going to take... I mean, it's a 0.46 thrust to weight ratio. I don't think it's going to take 10 minutes to do 100 meters per second. 4 might even be pushing it. Alright, let's bring ourselves right up to the node here and continue to ullage. Very stable. Ignition. Very good. No, the bird's going to take 20 seconds. That's fine. We're just going to raise our periapsis to where we want it and then be done with it. We don't need to be particularly accurate. .408 shutdown. Very good. All right. So now we're going to zoom all the way out to our periapsis again. Which one's our periapsis? I set a target I shouldn't have. Can I unset target? Thank you. Your extra lines are irritating me. All right, add maneuver. And let's try to circularize best we can. That's... Why are you not showing me the data that I want to see? Oh, jeez. Alright, well, we're just going to warp around to there, and I'm going to do this manually. Yep. Burn is in 3 minutes. It took 20 seconds to displace 100 meters per second. Not going to take too much longer than that to displace 100. I don't even know if that 130 number is accurate. It can't be too far off. Alright, we are a minute out. Let's just get ourselves angled into our node. Let's switch screens here. Alright. Ullage. Very stable. That was easy. And ignition. Man. Those extendable arms do not like the thrust of these RL-10s. Not one little bit. Okay. We are 378 by 415. I'm gonna say that's pretty good. We're gonna leave it at that. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but it will work. Not a bad little station, if I do say so myself. This little guy is totally not getting any sunlight, but that's fine. Our angle isn't too bad, and our electric charge is staying topped off. And we still have 4 more solar panels we can deploy, which I guess will come in handy when we have a crew on board and a bunch of other things going on and some things running stuff. We do have some comms I can activate just to make sure here. So activate, target, active vessel, because that's about all you can actually do. And where should we target the other one at? I mean, I guess active vessel also. That doesn't do us a whole lot of good. Ah, you know what? We'll target the moon. Moon. Very good. Make sure that our radiators are in fact turned on. They are. What did I put in here? Battery. Perfect. And just to make sure we've got one of these I turned on. Yeah. Okay, it is in fact doing a scan. We're not going to get the whole planet. That doesn't matter. This was just to see if things would work. Log visual observations. Ah. Lab is not currently manned, but we have the option. That's what matters. Fantastic. Alright, well, that's going to do it for this episode, everybody. Next time we're going to try to bring a crew up to our little station here and try our hand at docking without smashing into things. We'll see how well that goes. We'll pivot the hinge this way to encourage me not to screw it up so bad. There we go. Our triple crown of docking. Awesome. Alright, that's going to do it for this episode, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. I do appreciate it, and I will see all of you in the next one. So until then, see you later.